All right, we are live here on Unadvised on the Sports Animal YouTube page. I am Preston Poole. We got Teabag, Tyler Adams as well, at Tyler's Take on Twitter, at Preston Poole 405, at Unadvised Pod on X, I should say, as well. Teabag, what do you want to get into today?
Before we start, if you see me just like this with my head turned, it's because I'm watching the Colorado North Dakota State game.
Yes.
So don't think I'm ignoring anyone. But yes, my phone is here to the corner, so I'm turning like this today. But I'm doing good, Preston. Obviously, I'm watching Big 12 football right now. Colorado back with the Big 12 logo where it belongs. I also went up to Stillwater today. I had nothing to do. I had nothing to do, got off work early, and instead of being a bum and playing college football all day, I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, I'm going to go up to Stillwater. I was craving hideaway pizza. Got a couple a new game day polo, a couple T-shirts, and walked around college reminiscing my old glory days. So it was a good day for me.
Yeah, sounds like it. So I saw you got into a little bit of pizza wars on X as well. So
I got called a homer for saying hideaway pizza can get toe to toe with anyone. Like, okay, if we're in New York or New Jersey, yeah, okay, that's completely different. But like in my head, like when I was saying that, like in the state of Oklahoma, hideaway can go toe to toe with a lot of people. Like the original hideaway specifically, the original hideaway in Stillwater, because those are two different pizzas. Like that's one thing I think a lot of people like get confused. The Oklahoma City, Stillwater, Yukon, all those hideaways are a completely different pizza than the Stillwater hideaway. Like you can't compare the two. So I think
have yet to go to the Stillwater one.
Oh, dude. Even if you just got nothing to do, like on once football season's over, just you and your buddies just go up there. Like, dude, it's worth the drive for lunch because the fried mushrooms, the salad, and the pizza when it all comes out fresh is, I mean,
I'll have to add that to the
favorite
list.
Meal.
But yeah, look, it's not too hard to say that they're one of the best pizzas in Oklahoma. I think that's a very short list.
I'll die on the hill.
If I had, yes, great happy hour at Hideaway as well. So, big fan of them. But I mean, do you want to talk about this Colorado game real quick since it's getting ready to start? I mean, what are your thoughts? And obviously, we're going to get into OU and OSU here in just a second, but let's take a minute or two just to talk about, what are your thoughts on Colorado?
I think, I'm really intrigued by this game because Colorado, they're not the only program like this, but they're the most polarizing, popular program in this sense where they have a whole new roster once again. Obviously, you got guys like Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter returning. Like, I know they have returning players, but they have a whole new offensive line, a lot of new defensive players. So I'm interested to see because no one knows how good they are or are not. No one really knows yet. So I'm excited to see today because if they get out and handle North Dakota State, it's going to change my tune on Colorado. And if they struggle or lose, I mean, it's might be another long season. I mean, I'm not going to overreact after one game, but I think it's going to be fair to say, after what we saw at the end of last season, and if they kind of start that way again this season, it could be another popular, polarizing, funny, however you want to describe it, season in Old Boulder.
I mean, look, they start 3-0 last year. I think this is what I saw earlier on ESPN. They go 1-8 the rest of the season. So it for me, I want to be like anti-Colorado. I think that's the way I feel, but I think it would be pretty cool to see them actually have a decent season this year. So I won't be like, unless they win like 3 games, I won't be too disappointed because they've set the bar low for me when it comes to that. So anything over that, I'm like, okay, fine. I'm getting a little over Dion though. I'm a little over Dion.
I'm not a Dion fan at all. I don't like Colorado. I don't like what Dion stands for. I think he's full of what. But as a guy who roots for a team in the Big 12, and the Big 12 needs all the publicity it can get, I think it is good for the Big 12. So I hope they're good enough for Dion to stay around. But then again, when I say that, even if Dion has great success at Colorado, in 3 years, do I think he's there? No. Either way, in 3 years, I don't think he's there, whether he's good, mediocre, or bad. I think if he's bad, he'll obviously, just maybe get fired. Maybe Dion might be different just because he brings so much money to the program. If he's mediocre, I think a bigger team could hire him away. And I think if he's really good, I think he's going to obviously go to a bigger school, the NFL. So
I mean, if he's good,
I'm
he's
at the
definitely
point
going to go
where
somewhere else.
I'm at the point to where it is what it is with Dion, and I just don't think I can root for him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I say that as my roommate can probably hear me. He's sitting on the couch with his primetime Colorado shirt on, watching the game. So
I did bet on North Dakota State though, plus 10.5.
So. That was very intriguing. I wanted to as well, but I was like, no, I want to see how Colorado plays.
Maybe get a second half. Yeah, maybe we can get on the second half action.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Oklahoma taking on Temple tomorrow night. We're less than 23 hours now at this point, since we're past 7 o'clock. So less than 23 hours away from kickoff in Norman. Nick Anderson, it was announced earlier, I believe today or yesterday, that he will be out on Friday. Andrell Anthony will be able to play, so he'll suit up for the Sooners. So that's some good news for them. But my question for you, T-Bag, is what's the biggest thing you want to see from Oklahoma in this game?
Run the damn ball and run it successfully. If they can't run the ball against Temple, that means the offensive line is not where it needs to be because Temple's not good.
Yeah.
So if they can't get, I would say, 200 yards rushing, because they're going to run the ball because in the second half they'll be running it more than throwing it because I think they're going to have a big lead. If they can't get over 200 yards rushing, and it should probably maybe even be more, my football yardage stats is kind of blurry. I need to come back into my mind about what realistic football stats are again.
Yeah.
But I want to see them run the ball, because if they can do that, then I'm not saying it means, okay, OU's offensive line, it's fine. But if they can't, then I think that's a worrisome problem for OU going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't run the ball against Temple,
what just happened in Colorado game? They just went down to the 20-yard line.
I have no clue.
North Dakota State did.
Let's see. I think it's playing right here for me. Little pass over the middle is what it was. And Colorado's defense is still was it Swiss cheese? So, yeah, North Dakota State. There you go. We'll keep chatting about that when things happen in that game.
Phone. Right here. I'm gonna put it right there because then I can still see you.
But yeah, like you're saying, if you can't run the ball against Temple, how are you going to run the ball against Alabama, Ole Miss, teams like that in the SEC? So I agree with that. I think for me is if Jackson Arnold has fixed the mistakes, because I've said time and time again, I think his mistakes were fixable. They're all interceptions. You can fix the interception part of a quarterback. He has the mentality. I think when you see him attempt some of the passes that he does or he did in that bowl game, I think he has the mentality of a good quarterback. So is he able to not throw any interceptions against Temple? I think that would be a pretty big thing. Throw a couple touchdowns as well. So I think for me and the receivers, what does Deion Burks look like is going to be a big thing, because I think if he is good, he can be a big piece for this team this season.
Shout out Deion Burks, by the way. I was listening to Jim and Al and Trammell when I was driving back from Stillwater, and I don't know if you heard this, Preston. Deion Burks, every reception he gets, he's going to donate $50 for every reception to Rob's Ranch. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to him. And obviously the Danny Stetson stuff, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
So just the good side of NIL is coming out. I know it has a lot of fans. I know I think a lot of fans have their problems, and I'm for NIL, but I want there to be some ground rules here.
Yeah.
But this is the good side of NIL, where people are giving back to their teammates and to their community, which is just awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the Denny Stutzman stuff. He's given a portion of his NIL to the walk-ons at Oklahoma. So that's a pretty cool deal for Denny Stutzman, the senior middle linebacker for the Sooners. Speaking of defense, how good, and obviously we just hear people talk about it, but I mean, Jaden Jackson starting as a true freshman on the defensive line for Oklahoma, that's massive.
It's unreal. I mean, I've always said this. I mean, you were on with me. We had George Stoia on, a couple months ago on Sports Animal Live, and I asked him, I was like, "What true freshman are you going to come in? Like David Stone, like Jaden Jackson?" And I said, I think one thing fans always get, confused with these highly recruited guys is that they can come in on the trenches. Now, skilled players are kind of different. They can come in and make impacts pretty quick.
Yeah.
But on the O-line and D-line specifically, true freshmen, it's really hard for them to come in and make impacts, let alone start. So sorry, my Colorado noise just came on. It's obviously just a great sign that Jaden Jackson is going to be a potential stud. I mean, the first true freshman start for OU on the defensive tackle position since Tommy Harris in 2001.
Yeah.
Venables is comparing him to Dusty Dvorak. So I think it's a really good sign that this guy might be something special.
And that's a position that Oklahoma's been like, I don't know, kind of looking for the last, man, I couldn't even tell you just off the top of my head. It's been a long time.
The 270 pounders or 60 pounders that Alex Grinch was bringing in are no longer OU's problems.
Still blows my mind that that could happen, that they went that way. But nonetheless, anything else intrigue you about, maybe this game or what you're looking for, I guess, in this game?
I'm more interested in just kind of seeing OU progress throughout the weeks, because to be honest, this Temple game is not necessarily going to not move the needle for me, because if OU just comes out and completely dominates 63-0, it's obviously a really good sign. If they struggle, then obviously I think we have questions to ask. Now, you can rebound. I mean, OSU has been known to struggle with some lesser opponents, then go on to have great seasons. In 2021, they won by 7 against Missouri State. Missouri State was on the 15-yard line with 4th down, could have tied it into overtime, and then OSU obviously goes on to a 12-2 season. So I don't really want to overreact to stuff like that, but I don't think I'm going to overreact to what OU does, just because, I still think Temple's all that good. Yeah. So just with this game alone, I think it's more for me, like we talked about earlier. I want to see how OU can run the ball.
Yeah, and I think even on defense, if they're able to shut them out, I think that's still something cool.
Yeah, obviously if Temple doesn't cross a 50 all but like 1 or 2 times or something, then obviously that's a great sign too, because I think Temple's still probably gonna be able to move the ball just minorly a little here and there. And I'm talking more when the starters come in. In the fourth quarter, whenever it's the backup's backup, it's kind of a different story. But yeah, whenever the starters and whenever the 1s and 2s are in, it's if they can really shut down Temple, that's obviously a good sign too. But I have a lot of trust and faith in OU's defense this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be better than previous years for sure. I think it's just
no doubt.
Venables is a trend of wherever he's been, the defense has been better the 3rd year. So I would assume that
depth too.
Yeah, I think that would more than likely happen at Oklahoma. And I'm not saying like a top 10 defense, but I'm saying better defense than has been played in Norman in quite some time. So what's your score prediction for this ball game down in Norman tomorrow?
So I projected 53-10. It could be any, it's just one of those scores where I can see, OU winning 49-0, 63-17, 56-10, 53-10. I think OU wins and wins comfortably, and that spread's big, and I'm going to stay away from it just because how big it is. But if I did have to bet it, I would probably take OU minus 42.5.
Yes, I would as well. My score prediction for this game, actually, Harry in the chat almost got it. He said 65-14. I'm going to go with 62-14 in favor of the Sooners. I think that they want to get that offense going and see what they got. So I think they're going to try and put up some points in the ball game. Plus, it's one of those things, you get in the fourth quarter, you got 50 points already. Put the second team in, see what they can do. And then you go, I heard Jim say this the other day after the game, you just go over to their coach and say, hey, we're working on stuff. Sorry about it. I don't think Temple's going to be too upset if OU puts the backups in and they still keep scoring points. They understand what's going on.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
All right, let's talk about Oklahoma State as they host the number 1 team in the country on Saturday, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. They're a 9.5-point favorite. And I asked you before we, even went live, I said, why has this line moved from 10.5 to 9.5 in a week? Because I think that Oklahoma State's probably going to win by about 14. So why is this moved in favor of the Jackrabbits?
Real quick, touchdown Colorado, Sanders to Travis Hunter. Not going to be the first time we see that this season.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely the two best players. You know, I was telling you a little off the air when we were talking about this. I think it's just one of those things where even me as an OSU guy, I am really confident in OSU to go out there and win this game. My reasoning for that is they're a veteran team. They got blown out by South Alabama last year. You know, they know that they can't just take these opponents lightly. And I know FCS is a step down in play from what South Alabama is, but I mean, if South Dakota State and South Alabama played last year, you know, I bet South Dakota State's probably favored in that game, and I'd probably bet them to win the game. So I don't think they're going to come in and take this lightly. And like I said, they're a veteran-laced team. You know, they got experience, and they just know not to mess around. But with that said, I'm not going to be shocked if South Dakota State covers this game. I mean, I think OSU is going to win in the, 14 to 17 range, kind of in that ballpark. But if I'm leaving Boone Pickens Stadium at 4:00 on Saturday and OSU wins, 33 to 24 or something, it's not going to shock me at all.
Yeah.
So I think it's just one of those things where if you're just kind of an outsider, South Dakota State is kind of a good, sexy, trendy pick.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking whenever I saw that. I was like, man, how was I figured 10 would be a good number for that game, but it does make sense because I did put this in our little topics thing. Is can they finally get off to a hot start? Because since 2020, they beat Tulsa 16-7. 2021, they beat Missouri State 23-16. 22, they beat Central Michigan 58-44, and then last year beat Central Arkansas 27-13. So they've been in close games in game one for the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's a real thing with Mike Gundy. Is coming out of the gates kind of slow, but yeah, I've kind of just learned not to overreact to that. As long as they win, just win, baby, just win.
Okay, and I completely did not realize that was a stat right there until earlier today. I heard someone say that. I'm like, that's actually a very good stat. I should bring that up.
It's definitely a newer stat. It's a newer stat because it used to be kind of the opposite, where you kind of come out and really take care of business in the first game. So,
which is weird how that has flipped in the last 4 seasons. So we'll see if they get back on the right track here against South Dakota State on Saturday. Biggest thing you want to see from the Pokes in this ball game, T-Bag?
An improvement from the defense. I trust the offense to go out and do their job. I know everyone has questions with Alan Bowman, and I think it's just one of those things. As long as Alan Bowman does what Alan Bowman needs to do, the offense will be fine. I think they're going to load up the box, try to stop Ollie. Then Alan Bowman, all he has to do is just find the open receiver, and he has some really good receivers to throw it to. And if they want to try to stop the pass, and he got the best running back in the country. So, and I also obviously trust the offensive line. To me, it's the defense. I want to see the defense kind of take that next step. They showed a lot of, not just some flashes, they showed a lot of flashes last year of them being a really good defense. It was just never to a consistent level. So I'm excited to see what the year 2 defense looks like under Brian Nardo, and kind of the defensive tackle and the secondary is kind of where I want to see that improvement. The secondary was young last year, and I think year 2 and 3 for a lot of these guys. So I'm really looking forward to see what this defense does.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm interested in seeing. I'm also interested in seeing how many carries Ollie Gordon gets. I put in here, does he get over or under 35 carries? And I'm going to say the over.
I think under.
You think under? I think, well, going back to Big 12 Media Days where, we know what Mike Gundy said. They said, how are you going to punish Ollie Gordon basically for the stuff that happened in the offseason? He said, probably run him more. So that's why I'm thinking he's going to get about 50 carries in this ball game.
Now the one thing on the offense, I do want to see what Trent Howland, and then I'm blanking on his name right now, but the other running back, he was on the team last year, like Malatola or something like that. I can't even think of his name right now. I'm excited to see what the backup running backs look like, because I think that's a very key position for this offense this year.
Yeah, I mean, especially obviously Ollie Gordon's going to the NFL after this season, without a doubt. So yeah, I mean, for sure, getting a look at who the second string guys are is definitely something for them. This opens the time now where Oklahoma State has a chance to take over the Big 12. Don't you think this is like the start of, you need to go out, you need to show out, score some points against a team that is, the best team in their division of football that they play. So I really do think that this year is definitely where Mike Gundy needs to say, okay, no, Oklahoma State can be the face of the Big 12.
Yeah, I've been clear on saying this a few times. I don't think there's necessarily going to be a face of the Big 12 like there was with OU, because I think there's just such a more equal playing field now amongst all the schools. But I do agree with you in the sense that Mike Gundy needs to come out this season and say, no, like, we are Oklahoma State. Like, we are going to be in the hunt every single year. Like, that does need to be – the standard for OSU doesn't need to be necessarily win the Big 12 every year, even maybe get to Arlington every year. But 3 out of 4 years – I mean, 2 out of 4, I think you need to at least be in Arlington. That might be maybe 1.5 over under. But I think 3 out of 4 years, you got to at least be in the conversation, in mid to late November about being able to make the Big 12 championship game. I think that is, and I think if you do that along with Utah and K-State, those 3 schools are kind of be the schools you talk about every single year when it comes to the Big 12, kind of like this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a good 3 to have for the Big 12. It's going to be, for me, the most fun conference to watch this year. I think that it's just a bunch of the teams are so much, so much alike in talent wise, I guess I should say.
There's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of one possession games, and I think there's going to be a lot of 9-3 teams that are really good teams. It's just they're just got some dogfights and didn't have the ball last or something. So I agree. I think this is going to be the most intriguing, fun conference to watch.
Score prediction for Oklahoma State versus South Dakota State.
I got OSU playing pretty close throughout the first 3 quarters and then pulling it out kind of late, 34-17. I think kind of when you're talking late third quarter throughout the fourth quarter, the depth will become an issue for South Dakota State and become in favor of OSU. And OSU, I think it'll be, a 24-17 game, maybe, at halftime. And then I think OSU can come out and win, 34-17 or something like that.
Yeah, I think I put 42-28. I think they'll give up some points, but against a decent squad, that's okay if you score 42 and win the ball game.
I'll take that every time. Just win, baby. If it's 3-0, I don't care. Just win.
That is very true. As long as all you got to win by is 1, right?
Yep.
That's all you got to win by. Harry says 35-14. Oklahoma State says, "Are you going to get a Switzer collectible cup tomorrow night, Preston?" They were giving those out. Probably not.
Nah, you got to get one.
Well,
you don't need to go out of your way for one. But
that's what I'm. Yeah. If they're like first couple thousand people that walk through the gate, then maybe. But if I got to go to a different side of the stadium or something like that, especially during the game, I might not. But we'll see. If I do, I'll show it on Tuesday next week. All right. So we wanted to do that. If you got any more questions about Oklahoma State, get in the chat and we'll answer those. But we're going to pick some conference winners now for the Big 4, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and then we'll pick a national champion after that as well. So, T-Bag, let's start in the ACC. Who do you have in the ACC championship game?
I'm going to disgustingly pick Clemson just because after what we saw from Florida State, I don't see that happening. Miami, I just don't trust. I'm not going to be shocked if they win it. They have a really talented roster, but I'm not going to be shocked.
Boy, this Colorado defense is bad.
Yeah. Ollie Gordon's going to be having a field day against this team. And Brennan Presley, too, because North Dakota State is just throwing it all over. So,
yes.
And my roommate just came home and just yelled football. I was like, what is that I heard? Ball at the end. I'm discussing going to pick Clemson to win the ACC. I think it's going to be Clemson and NC State. I'm rooting for NC State. I want NC State to win that conference, but I'll lean Clemson just because of the talent on each of the rosters.
Yeah, so I was on with Sam Humphreys last Saturday, and about halftime of the Florida State game, I picked Clemson and Florida State to go to the ACC championship game. I picked Clemson to win. I'm not going to do that again because I saw another half of football that I really didn't like. So I will pick Clemson just like you. Man, I want to be different, but NC State is standing out to me. I really like that squad. So give me NC State as well in the championship game and Clemson winning it just because I don't trust Florida State anymore. And I damn sure don't trust Miami.
Yeah. I think it's it's fair and safe to say.
And then Harry says Clemson defense isn't the same since Brent Venables. Still a decent squad, like you say. And I'm just not a big believer in the ACC.
No, I don't think it's. I mean, there's an argument of like what's better, ACC or Big 12, and I guess you could say ACC is better right now because they have two teams that could win a national championship. I don't think this year, but 2 years from now, if we're saying Florida State's national champs, I don't think it's going to necessarily shock anyone. Touchdown North Dakota State. Sorry if I spoiled anything. I'll stop talking now because I know I spoiled it for Harry, and I don't know where you're at in the game, Preston. But it distracts me seeing that. My bet is we should have bet the over. What were we doing not betting the over? It was the first game of the season.
I thought about doing that because I was like, this game just screams points, but I figured North Dakota State might try and like grind it out too.
That's what I was thinking too. That's what we talked about last Tuesday or on Tuesday. I was like, I think North Dakota State's gonna try to guide this out. No, they've been throwing the rock.
I mean, you have to against that defense.
But with the ACC and Big 12, I guess you can say the ACC is better because they have two teams that could win a national championship. I don't think the Big 12 necessarily does. Maybe if Utah or even OSU strikes lightning in the bottle one year, I don't see it happening at all.
Yeah,
I would probably lean Utah in that case anyway. But I think if you're just talking top to bottom, I think it's Big 12, not even close.
Yeah, I do as well. Who do you have in the Big 10 championship game?
I mean, I don't know what your pick is, but we might have the exact same one again because I'm going to go with the very popular pick, Ohio State winning the Big Ten championship over Oregon. Ohio State, I know they got Will Howard, and everyone has questions about that. But it's not like Will Howard's a bad quarterback. Like everyone's like acting like Will Howard's a really bad quarterback. No, he's going to get there with weapons, and they're going to have a great running game. Chip Kelly is a run the ball type coach. Yeah. They're going to have a fantastic defense. They got NFL guys at every single position except the quarterback, who even Will Howard could be a clipboard guy in the NFL if he has a good season this year and develops under Ryan Day. So I like Ohio State to win it, and I got them winning it over Oregon in a rematch that I think Oregon will win the first game.
I agree with you. I want to pick Oregon, though, because I think Dylan Gabriel's going to have a good season. I think that they've put so much money into that football team, getting players that I think Ohio State beats them during the season, but I think Oregon beats them in the Big Ten championship game. And they both make the playoffs. But yeah, I think Oregon wins the Big Ten. Like I think the Big Ten goes either of those two ways. Like I don't think there's another team in the Big Ten. I don't believe in Penn State. Iowa, definitely don't believe in them on offense. I mean, who knows what's going to be that offense now that they've got a new offensive coordinator. Are they still going to be the same, or are they going to score some more points? And then Michigan, I mean, they lost a lot. Like I want to be a believer in Michigan, but I can't until I see what the team is like. So I really think it's only up to those two teams.
Yeah. I don't believe in Michigan this year. I think they'll be good. I think they're a potential playoff team. But they're taking a big step back. They lost 14 starters, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, their quarterback, running back, I mean, those are two massive positions. And then, of course, on defense as well.
Sorry, I took a vitamin. I take my vitamins every night at 7:30, and I was still chewing them.
What do you think about Nebraska this year? Because obviously Dylan Raiola, starting quarterback, 5-star, was one of the best players in the country. What do you think about Nebraska? Could they be sneaky this year? Is Matt Rhule going to bring them back?
Yeah, I think he will. This year, because I've seen people say Nebraska might be a sneaky playoff team. It's like, let them get to a bowl game first.
Yeah.
Preston, last time they made a bowl game, I was a junior in high school. I'm now in my third year removed from college. Okay.
I don't even want to know what I was probably in college at that point.
Well, it was 2016. So
yes, I
um,
was.
yeah. So I think they're going to be good in the sense like I think they could be an 8-4 team, which is obviously a very big, massive improvement. I mean, you
Yeah.
got a true freshman quarterback, so he's going to have struggles with the year. Even if he is a star, even if he is going to be a future first round pick, he's going to have struggles as he's a freshman. He's a true freshman. So we'll see. Yeah, I think Nebraska's going to be improved.
Yeah, I think improved is the right word. Now, anything better than that, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, who do you have in the Big 12 championship this upcoming season?
So I got Utah winning the Big 12. I've had Utah win the Big 12 since March, and I'm not going to change my tune on it. I think they have the best roster in the Big 12. They have the most NFL guys. They got a veteran quarterback. They always have a great head coach. They have a very favorable schedule to get them there. I got Utah winning it, and I'm just going to say Oklahoma State just to be a homer on purpose. I think it's going to come down between OSU and Kansas State. I think there's going to be a race between the three, obviously. I think Utah kind of prevails in that race, and I think it will really come down to OSU and Kansas State with 2 losses. I think Utah goes 11-1. I got OSU beating Utah in Stillwater this year. I do think OSU does win that game, but I think that's Utah's only regular season loss. So I got Utah win the Big 12 in a rematch against Oklahoma State, which will be a heartbreaker because I think OSU is going to get about 10-2. It'll be a win and get into the playoff, and I just know how that – OSU's never won a game in Arlington. Preston.
Really?
They never won in Jerry's World. Never won Cotton Bowl, Florida State in the regular season whenever they played Jameis Winston, and 2 Big 12 championships, like 0-6, I want to say now. And all the games except Texas last year have been kind of brutal losses too. Like nothing will beat that Baylor championship game. But like they've all been like OSU had good chances to win that, like had a lot of chances to win the game and just couldn't pull it out. Obviously against Texas last year was just an ass kicking from the get-go. But I can already just envision myself, up 4 in the fourth quarter or something, and Utah comes in to win it and leaving that stadium disgusted. But hey, that's better than not getting there at all, I guess. But yes, I got Utah beating Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship.
Have you went down to that game the last couple of years when OSU's been in it?
Yeah.
What are because I always went when Oklahoma was in it. What are the vibes there for you? What's your opinion? It feels like very corporate to me whenever I go.
Yes, it's very corporate. And so last season against Texas, I was literally about to buy my ticket online. My buddy called me. He's like, "Don't tell me you bought a ticket yet." And I was like, "I haven't." Why? He goes, "I have a suite." And so we, like me and my boys, we literally got a free suite. They had to pay $1 for this thing in Jerry's
awesome.
World. Free booze, beer, liquor, free food, any food we wanted. Like we were literally like it was unreal. So it was definitely, there's no better way to watch your team get your ass kicked.
I don't know if I could ever go back to the game after that.
When you just can turn around, there's a big bar right there for you to hang out at and just forget about the game. And then the Big 12 championship in 21, I was sitting right next to the band, and we were on the opposite corner of the infamous, reaching for the goal line.
Yeah.
And we all thought he scored. Like for, a split second, you thought he got in from the angle, and then you see the Baylor players running and celebrating. And I was like this. I mean, like everyone.
Never go surrender Cobra,
it was Preston. It was, and I'm sure it happens like a lot in the Cotton Bowl too, like Texas fans this last year. It's kind of one of those things where you sit there and just utter shock and like just
you're like, what just happened?
And I remember we sat there, and then right whenever they started like presenting Baylor trophies, kind of like when everyone started filing out. But like every OSU fan was literally just sitting there, like silent. No one was leaving, no one was doing anything, just silence. It was the most depressing like sports feeling I've ever had in my life. So. Yeah, not great memories there, but I will plan on going back if OSU makes it this year.
Yes. Every time I've went, the team that I was there for won, so I can't say.
Nice.
Can't say too much. Okay, I didn't forget what conference we were on. We were in Big 12. I said I haven't given my pick. We got so wrapped up into that. Man, I really want to pick Kansas State and Oklahoma State, but I'm like, I can't forget about Utah.
They're good. They're really good.
They are good. give me Utah and Kansas State, and I'll pick Utah winning. But I could very easily see Oklahoma State being in there besides Kansas State.
That's. I mean, me and you just kind of the same thought process. I think it's going to come down between OSU and Utah or OSU and Kansas State for second place, and it's just going to be a matter of just who gets it.
The more and more I sit and hear people talk about Kansas State, I'm like, man, they're going to be really good this year. I think Avery Johnson's going to be a great quarterback for them. And then I'm like, man, but Utah is a well-coached team. They're getting their quarterback back. And then I'm like, well, Oklahoma State has the best running back in the country. So I keep talking myself in like a triangle between those three teams. But I'll take Utah to win it over Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game. All right, now let's head to the Southeastern Conference. T-Bag, who do you got winning the SEC?
I'm going to go with Georgia. And, man, the second-place team, I could see a lot of teams.
It's so hard. It's like five teams that could be there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with Georgia winning it over – screw it. I'll say Alabama. I don't trust Texas. I don't trust Missouri. I don't think LSU is going to be much improved. I don't trust Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin has yet to win a big-time game yet. Not saying none of these guys can't do it. I can very well see them all do it or win the conference, and Alabama and Georgia maybe even not make it. But from what I know right now is Kalen DeBoer's a winner no matter where he goes. That roster is still a top 3 roster, top 4 roster in college football. And it's hard to go against Alabama right now, so I'll say Georgia over Alabama. Yeah, I mean, that second place team is tough. I mean, I think Georgia's almost like a pencil them in for the SEC championship, but that second team is hard.
So I sit here and I look, and I think schedules are going to be a big thing this year when it comes, especially to the SEC and throughout the country. I think schedules are going to become a more important thing to look at. Ole Miss, their schedule is super easy.
Yeah,
they have an easy schedule. Missouri's schedule isn't hard. And you look at Georgia, I think they're good enough to get over the schedule issues. Anyways, I think they're just a good football team. But I see here and look, I think Georgia obviously is going to be there and I think win it. But I'm going to pick Ole Miss to be there as well because their schedule, man, you sit there and look at it and it's like, how did someone in the SEC get a schedule this easy to play this year?
Missouri.
Yeah, when you look at the SEC schedules this year, like, man, that's a tough schedule. That's a tough schedule. Especially when we're talking about the Floridas, Oklahomas, and Georgias of the world. And you can probably even throw Alabama in there as well. It's like, dude, these are some tough schedules. And you sit there and you look at Ole Misses and you're like, how the hell did that happen? So that's why I'll pick them to lose to Georgia in the SEC championship game.
I don't hate it. Because even if Ole Miss loses, what are their 2 biggest games? Is it OU and Georgia?
Let's see.
Both at home?
It is, they play Oklahoma at home, and then they play LSU on the road and Georgia at home.
So
those are the only 3
even if they lose
ranked
2 of those 3, they could still maybe sneak into the SEC championship.
Yeah. So here's how they
probably not, but they could.
Let me read you how easy their schedule is. They play Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern is the start of their season. So 4 cupcakes. And they play Kentucky at home, at South Carolina, at LSU, versus Oklahoma, at Arkansas, at home versus Georgia, at Florida, and then back home for Mississippi State. That is, I mean, by the time they get to Florida's going to be so beat up at that point.
They probably throw the towel in. Their coach probably be fired.
Yes. So I just thought, I was like, man, that's
Ole Miss would probably be my third. If I had to pick someone other than Alabama, it probably would be Ole Miss.
It's just the schedule is so easy, and they load up on talent.
The easy schedule. I just don't know. I think Missouri lost a lot of guys on defense. I don't know how much I'm going to trust that.
And they lost their defentive coordinator at Missouri as well.
Yes.
So that's kind of why I'm a little bullish on them, but I could see them having a decent season as well. All right, let's get to our locks of the week. T-Bag, if I can figure out where to pull that up. There we go. Made a nice little graphic for us here to track our locks. We'll let you start things off with your first pick.
I'm going to go with my big time lock of the week. I will announce the Morning Animals tomorrow. So spoiler alert for anyone that was listening today. And I said I'm not going to give it out yet. That Spinozzi is stealing, which I'm kind of butthurt about. So I told him off air. I think it's a lock of the century, actually, Preston. Virginia Tech is only minus 13. I think it's moved to 13.5 now.
I believe so.
But whenever I text you this, it was only a 13-point spread against Vanderbilt. The game's at Vanderbilt, but Virginia Tech, they finished the season strong last year. A lot of people are picking them to be the surprise team in the ACC. And Vanderbilt sucks, and they're going to suck this year. There's no hope around Vanderbilt football. So even if Virginia Tech wins that game 28-14 in kind of an ugly way, that's covering. That's covering. Yeah. So Virginia Tech is my lock of the week.
All right, and we'll just round off all three of yours real quick.
And then I think Florida State's going to bounce back on Monday night playing Boston College, minus 15.5. Don't know if I haven't checked that line lately. I don't know if it's moved or not.
Let's see. I can check that real quick. I was looking at them earlier, and that's one that I just didn't even look at. Let's see if that has moved. But you think they bounce back after last week?
Doesn't mean I think they're good. I think Boston College is bad. Year one under Bill O'Brien. Going to take a second to get things rolling. It's a not sexy hire. It doesn't feel like it's an exciting hire. So I think Florida State's going to bounce back and beat the doors off Boston College. And then my last one is a game going on. I don't know. It's all got delayed, so I don't know if it's started yet or not.
There was a rain delay, so it's going to start at, I believe, 8 p.m. our time, so after we're done.
Okay. Yeah, so there's been a couple delays with rain and lightning. Minnesota +2. The reason for this is I don't know anything about these two rosters other than Minnesota has Marcus Major. I do know that. What I do know, though, is North Carolina is playing two quarterbacks tonight on the road. North Carolina lost a lot of production last year. They weren't even really that good last year with the first-round pick quarterback. Minnesota +2 at home with the points. I like that. 2-system quarterback does not work out well, let alone 3. Ask me how I know. So I like Minnesota to cover and win outright tonight against North Carolina.
By the way, that Florida State line up to 16.5 now in favor of Florida State. So it's moving a little bit. I think you got a good number.
It's been moving back and forth because I saw it at 17 and then I saw it. Then after I texted you, I went and looked at it again. Then it moved to 15.5. So money going in, money going out. What are yours, Preston?
So my first pick is it's a game that I truly believe that this team could win. That's why I'm picking them. By the way, I'm going all dogs this week. Okay, the no minuses around here. A lot of pluses over here for week 1. My first pick is West Virginia +8 versus Penn State. I'm not a believer. I think that they're going to be burning some couches in Morgantown this Saturday.
I love it. I want Big 12, baby. I want the Big 12 to go because I know the Big 10. I know it's a better conference than the Big 12 because the top dogs is heavy. The mid to bottom tier of the Big 10, get out of here. Penn State can fall in that realm sometime. Penn State's really good and would obviously beat a lot of Big 12 teams because they have a lot of NFL guys. But come on now. They don't have quarterback play. They don't have updated offenses. Penn State's one of those just disgusting teams in the Big 10 I hate.
It's all pro-style stuff, too.
Let's go Mountaineers. Mom, take me home country roads. I am a big-time West Virginia fan at 11 a.m. on Saturday.
I am as well. I will be rocking in spirit some West Virginia gear because I don't have any. But, I'll be rooting for the Mountaineers in that one. My next pick is the Gators +2.5 versus Miami. Look, I saw that 2.5 and I said, you know what? I need me some of that 2.5. So that's why I wanted to lock that in. And whenever I see a line like that on a game where I think the other team can win, and that being Florida can win, I'm going to take the 2.5 every day of the week.
I think, I don't think Florida's going to be good this year, but I think they're going to be a little better than what people think. I think they could maybe be a 6-6 team, but they're going to come out ready to play tomorrow. I mean, Florida beat Utah 2 years ago, and then at home, they beat Utah at home 2 years ago. Utah went on to win the Pac-12. Florida went on to suck. The Swamp is a crazy place, man, especially week 1 when there's still optimism and hope. I love Florida in that game.
Wonder what time that game is at.
Our minds are thinking a lot. It's 2:30.
2:30 game in the Swamp.
3:30. So 3:30 in Florida. So that's
going to be muggy, disgusting. 88 degrees, muggy. Them rich kids from Miami, and they're not going to want any of that there in Gainesville. So give me the Gators +2.5 in that ball game. My final pick. This one's going to worry me. All right, but I'm taking the Fighting Football Jesuses +3 at Texas A&M. Notre Dame +3 at Texas A&M. Look, I'm not going to believe in A&M until I see it. I've seen Notre Dame at least, put out a decent product every now and then. I have not seen that at A&M and since Johnny Football. I think it was the last team that I'm like, okay, A&M, but yeah, and +3. I mean, look, I could easily see that being like a 1-point game, right? Because there's two teams where I have no clue what to think about either of them, but I still like that +3 for Notre Dame.
I'm the opposite with you on that one. I like A&M. I kind of like A&M a lot this year. I think we talked about it a little. I think they kind of got that stank out of them from the past, and I think Mike Elko's just kind of coming and kind of just taking that program over. They've been super quiet this offseason, which is weird for them, like unreal quiet. So I like A&M this season. I like A&M to win that game just outright. I mean, they could still cover that, like you said. They could still cover a push-up spread.
I just hate the big lines on the first couple of weeks, like the -30s, 40s, and I'm thinking Missouri even opened at a -50 tonight against whoever they were playing. So I want to stay away from. That's why I like the NFL so much. Is that you're never more than about a touchdown unless the other team is just really bad. So once the NFL rolls around, expect a lot of NFL picks in my pick. I might pick a college game here and there, but I'm more so into the NFL. By the way, I was sitting down watching ESPN before this Colorado game started. How weird is it to have them just openly talking about gambling in sports, like the lines and what picks they like? That's just so weird from our childhood to now. It's crazy.
Everything is so weird about our childhood from now. I mean, we can talk about it real quick. Brian Kelly came out and didn't rip OSU, but said it doesn't feel collegiate to him. The OSU has QR codes. Like, keep that NIL off the field. And my reply is, Mr. Kelly, what feels collegiate about college football these days?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, if you want to say you don't like it and stuff, that's fine, but don't say it doesn't feel collegiate, because nothing feels collegiate about college football.
Well, it's also rich coming from a guy at LSU.
Yeah. Like they were the cheating kings forever, and now they're the NIL kings. So come on, man. Like, if you want to say you don't like it, that's fine. Like, I don't care if you like it or not, but like, you can't say it doesn't feel collegiate, because it's just like that's just, come on. That's the one argument you can't use, is it doesn't feel collegiate, because nothing is collegiate anymore.
Plus, that's not an issue he's going to have at LSU. They don't have to put QR codes on the helmets or anywhere at LSU. People are going to donate money there. So
come deal with the middle class, Brian Kelly. Okay, you got to fight, scratch, and claw your way to the top.
All right, one final topic here. Right before we went live, Brandon Ayuk finally signs a deal with the 49ers. 4 years, $120 million. Still waiting on the why am I blanking on his name? Trent Williams deal to happen with the Niners, but they get the Ayuk deal done. What are your thoughts on that, T-Bag?
I mean, good for Brandon Ayuk, good for the Niners. They made a deal. I think it's going to help him. I mean, we talked about it before. I don't think it was as important as Trent Williams. I still want them to see get Trent Williams done now. I think Trent Williams might be becoming a little bit of a diva, which I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear right now, but it's like he's making $70 million the next year. It's not like he's on some bad salary. But at the same time, if you're the Niners, like, just win now and deal about it later. Like, just get it done. Just get it done and think about it. Deal with it later. Do with the Rams.
Yeah,
Rams are fine.
Worry about the non-existent salary cap.
Is it real? Is it not real? It's like birds. Are birds real? Or are they not real? I don't know. I think they are, but I'm not for sure.
Look, and that's a conspiracy we can get into. That salary caps just aren't real. I mean, look at baseball. They don't even think they have one, and teams still don't spend money. You look at basketball teams; they have one, and teams spend enormous amounts of money on basketball players, and NFL teams do the same. So, just go ahead and sign him.
How CeeDee Lamb is like the best wide receiver in football, or one of the best wide receivers in football. He did a massive holdout, and he's still making
only got $16 million more.
Than Isaiah Hartenstein. And Isaiah Hartenstein might be coming off the bench. Like, that just shows the difference between NBA and NFL money right there.
For sure.
NBA money is just different. It's just different.
And then you have Shohei Ohtani making like $1 billion for the Dodgers. So it's somehow baseball still finds money when apparently they're not making any, according to all the owners. So, but all right, that's going to do it for us. T-Bag's going to be in Stillwater on Saturday at the ball game. I'll be in Norman tomorrow night. So if you see us, say hello.
Buy us a beer.
Yeah. Look,
buy us a beer. We won't buy you one. You buy us.
Yeah. I'll talk to you for 5 minutes for a beer.
Yeah.
How about that?
I'll
That
drink
sounds
a
like
beer
a
with
plan.
you. Yeah.
All right, we'll be back with you guys on Tuesday. That's it for us. Have a great night, everyone.